All right, thanks for joining us at Heavy Mag today. We're here with a very special announcement. No one else in Australia knows this yet, but we do, and so does Oscar. But Hammerfall will be coming to Australia in January 2025. So, mate, thanks for joining us to talk about it.
Yes, thank you. We're very excited about this. I mean, we only did one show in 27 years of existence, so or 30 years even more. So it's it's gonna be fucking cool.
I bet it is. So basically, you get given us a belated Christmas present, mate. Like when you hit the country for the first time ever for a big tour in January, starting January the 14th in Perth, and you go through Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney, finish in Brisbane on January the 19th. Like it's a long way off yet, mate, but I'm sure the announcement's going to make a lot of people happy here, mate. You're going to make the year.
We hope so. I mean, every time we do a new album, we do a press in Australia, and everybody's asking, "When are you coming back? When are you coming over?" And we never have anything to say about it. But finally now we do have something to say, and it seems like it's. I've heard from people like friends of mine in bands who've been there that say it's great. Everybody wonder why don't you go there? And now I have actually no good answer for that. Only that the fact that we are going now, so that's enough.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to let you get away with it that easy, mate, because we've got to address the elephant in the room straight up. Like, why have you ignored us for 30 years? 30 years, mate.
Yeah, I think for us it's mostly about not having somebody to work with down there. It's never been we have worked with a German booking agency for all these years, all the time, and they don't have any good connections down there, and I think that is the main reason it hasn't happened really. I mean, we've been all over the world except for Australia for the most part, so it should have happened, but
it's happening now, so don't whinge about it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So sort of along those lines, bro, like there wouldn't be many places left in the world that you guys haven't played. So when you come to Australia for something like this for the first time, like, do you do a bit of research? Do you talk to bands that have been here before to find out what to expect, or do you want to come over cold and just have it as an experience?
Yeah, I think since we've been there once, I mean, it was like 9 years ago now, I think. But then that was a good experience, really good experience. So I thought, if that is anything to go by, I think we're gonna have a really good time at the shows. We played in Melbourne that time. I believe it was 15, or maybe it was 17. I can't remember now. Years ago, anyway. But I think also ultimately, and this is my experience from touring all over the world talking, but ultimately heavy metal fans are more or less the same all over the world. They just want to go to the show, be entertained, have a good time, listen to some great music, and watch a good show. That's all they want to do. Maybe hopefully drink some beers as well during yeah, exactly. I didn't need to say that. But yeah, I mean, that if that is the attitude, which I believe it is, we're gonna have a really good time.
Very good. I suppose the flip side of that, mate, is like people over here don't know what to expect from you either. So what can we expect from the Hammerfall live show?
Well, yeah, this is a new experience for me because I always have like some past touring to compare to, but since like you pointed out, we don't have that here. But I think our shows nowadays are better than they've ever been before. So if you didn't see us because we didn't come in the 20 years ago, I think this will still be will blow you away because I think we are a very, very good live band now. We always try to be, but I don't think we put together the pieces until later on in the career. So but of course we're not going to play just songs from the previous albums either. I mean, we're going to do the normal set list that we do, but we also don't exclude anything because it's old. I think Hammerfall is a band that has I believe personally, if you take any song off any album, you could insert it on any other album and they will still be cool because that's the way it feels like when we play live, because it doesn't matter which album the songs come from, they fit very well together in the whole set. And we do play songs from our entire career, so it'll be a kind of a best of for people who haven't seen us before, but it's also going to be I think an energy overload from us, because like we talked about, we haven't been there before, more or less, and that always gives you a little bit of extra boost. So in conclusion, what you can expect from Hammerfall is one big heavy metal party.
Hell yeah. Well, doing research for this interview, mate, like pretty much everything I looked up about you guys, the main feature of it was fucking awesome band live. Like pretty much everyone just raves about it. So do you dress up? Is it a sort of, is it a theatrical show or is it just straight up rock?
Yeah, it's not theatrical in any way. Well, it depends on how you look at it, but we don't do props and stuff for the most part. I mean, when we tour in the big places in Europe, we have our hammer and shield and stuff on stage. But what I'm talking about is the energy, the raw energy of the performance. That's something you. I mean, I'm over 50 now. Well, three of us are actually over 50. The fourth one is be turning 50 this year. So we will actually be four people in the band over 50 coming to you. But I guarantee you wouldn't notice from watching us live, because we are a very high energy band, and that's what we sort of lean and pride ourselves on. Because we have what I want Hammerfall to be, and I think what Hammerfall is at this moment live is a band that, like I said earlier, you go to watch and you will leave with a smile on your face. That is the goal from us.
Yeah. You know, on the other side of the coin too, bro, like you've played so many shows over the years to so many different audiences. Like, is there anything like a crowd can do while you're playing to sort of, make you walk off stage and just go, fuck, that was special?
Yeah, there. Well, I hope I haven't seen that yet, but I hope that's going to come in the future. But no, I mean, for me at this point in my life, I think what the thing, I mean, there's no comparison to people who are singing along, just smiling, having a good time. That is the best feeling I know from stage. I know what they are feeling too, because I have been there. I mean, I've been in the front row with my favorite bands and watched them play when I was younger. Well, still do sometimes actually, but yeah, for the most part when I was a teenager and stuff, But so I know what they're feeling, and it gives me goosebumps to think about that I can give somebody else that feeling just by doing what I love the most as well. And there was this recent
just giving me
experience.
goosebumps,
We just
mate.
came.
You just gave me goosebumps.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. So one thing, we just came off a tour in the US, just been home for a week now, but there was one incident. I don't remember which city it was, but the thing with the US as compared to Sweden, sorry, Europe rather, but Sweden mostly, because we have a decibel limit at shows. If you have kids on the show, there needs to be a decibel limit. They're really strict with this over here. So most people don't want that decibel limit, so they keep it 18 and up.
Yep.
And I think that is a big mistake. They don't do that normally in the US. Not for the most part. There are some places who still do it, but in the US they don't usually do it because they have a different system. You go in, if you want to buy something at the bar, you get an X on your hand. And then it doesn't matter how old you are, because you just show them I got an X. They ID'd me, carded me, so I can buy beer.
Wow.
Whatever. So that means that they can have kids there as well. And this tour was no exception. It's usually, I mean, there's not a ton of kids, but you spot them right away. And it's usually, that's what I love the most about playing for kids who are into the show. Maybe they don't know the lyrics, maybe they don't know all the songs, but they are there happy and want to enjoy themselves because their parents love the music probably, but you can tell always if there's a disinterested kid or if the kid is really excited about being there. So I always try to give my guitar picks to people I think during the show that I think deserved it, that I think these people gave me a good show as well, so they get a guitar. I just don't want to do like like tons of it like Ingvar Malmsteen did earlier. He just took a bucket and threw it out. I want it to be special, so that's my attitude towards that. So I try to give my guitar picks to people who I think deserve it, and kids normally are very appreciative of this. Maybe a 50-year-old man or guy or girl for that matter don't care about the guitar pick from somebody. They're just there to have a good time.
Put it through the watch.
Exactly. But the kids, they get really into that. So this incident, there was one one girl, maybe 11 years old or so. She was there with her dad, and they were a bit out in the audience. So they weren't in the front row or the front section even. They were maybe 10 meters out or something like that. And it's quite hard to throw a guitar pick that way. But they were
accurately.
At the end of the, yeah, exactly. Well, you get better at it. But at the end of the show, I tried to hit them with a guitar because they were standing like this, pick, like this. Universal sign for a pick. So I had 3 left. I think, okay, I'm gonna use them first. I'm gonna try to get her a pick. So I threw the first one way off. The second one was closer, but still not near enough. The third one, I hit her in the face or body, so she felt it at least. Dove down onto the ground, got it, looked at it, and then embracing her father, and they both were jumping with joy.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That was like, now I got goosebumps again. It literally is fucking. that is the best thing I think that has ever happened to me on stage. This pure, unadulterated joy, and they were just father and daughter unified in metal music, in this love for this type of music, and that is the best thing that I can remember that happened to me on stage ever, I think.
I bet you that'll be a memory that lasts with her whole life too. Like she'll have the pick, she'll have a father, like that'll be connection for the rest of their lives. It's beautiful.
That is the point. I mean, this is the next generation coming up, so you can't just ignore those people. You can't have shows where the kids must be able to see the bands that they or their fathers listen to, or mothers listen to, for that matter too.
It actually just made me think, because I've never asked this question to anyone before, but you were talking about making that connection with the crowd and seeing them on stage, but how much can you actually see off stage with all those lights and stuff in your face? Like, can you see the crowd?
Varies a lot, to be honest. Some venues have LEDs up here that shine right down in your face. Then I can barely see the first row usually, but not more, unless I lean outside. But then nobody can see me, so that makes no sense. But we have a few places in the during the show when with the audience participation and stuff. And then the light guy usually takes up the lights so we can see everybody. But for the most part, it's quite difficult. Depends on. I mean, it's different also for me because Joachim is singing, he's looking at the audience all the time, so he can see things. When lights go on, off, he can see stuff. Whereas we who are playing music, we usually bang our heads and whatever the fuck we're doing. So we don't stare at the audience all the time, and that makes it harder for us to notice what's going on, unless it's lit in a way that doesn't blind us, basically. But for the most part, I can tell there have been a few shows that for the whole concert, more or less, all I could see was 1 or maybe 2 rows. That's it. You got a flash or a glimpse of the rest sometimes. But sometimes it takes me half a show to realize that there's actually a balcony up there. Because it's not always a balcony, but sometimes, and when there is, it's not always visible. So yeah, it can be difficult.
It actually reminds me of something that really pisses me off. I'm not sure about you, but they got those lights that are called blinders, and you get some venues that just put them on the whole time. And it's like, mate, they're called fucking blinders for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. I hate those. From an audience standpoint, it's terrible. Especially if they're on for a while, then you can't see anything after that. You have to do this for a while.
I'll put your glasses on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you shouldn't have to wear sunglasses indoors.
I always do. I'm always prepared.
Yeah, all right, that's good.
So the other thing we've got to speak about, mate, is you're going to be releasing what will be your 13th album, Avenge The Fallen, on August 9th. So how are you feeling, mate? Like, do you still get as excited after so many albums?
Both yes and no. I do, because it's we've been working on it really hard. I've been living with the songs for some songs are 5 years old too, so I've had them around for a while. I've been living with the material for so long, and we actually recorded in November, December, January as well, a little bit. So it's been done for a while. Now it's getting. I'm getting anxious to just want to show people what we've done, because I'm very proud of the album. I think we've done one of our strongest albums in recent years, in my opinion. Of course, this can vary a lot for everybody else, but I'm very happy because 3 things. First, all the songs on the album they serve a purpose. So if you take one away, the whole is going to collapse in the middle somehow. Even if it's one of the the non-single ones, so to speak, the ones that we don't think are the strongest. Even the other ones would have an impact if you take them away. And also, I think that the production of this album is and when the production, I mean the performance as well from us, because David, we normally, we start with the drums, recording the drums, and then everybody else builds their stuff on top of that. And David came into this so focused and so energetic, and his drumming is so powerful that when he was done, everybody was like, "Whoa, shit, we got to step it up now as well," because he put the bar up here, So we kept on going and feeding off of that, of course, when we recorded the bass and guitars. And then during these recordings, Fredrik Nordstrom, the producer, and he was going to do the mixing at the end as well. He said, "Oh shit, guys, I feel pressure now to take it up a level as well now, because you already reached this level." So for us, the production is I think when we recorded the previous album, Hammer of Dawn, we did a good job with that one too, but it was kind of hard to get the energy because we recorded that during the pandemic. So pandemic had a bit of laid a bit of a filter on top of it. I mean, it's not noticeable when we released that album, but I think if you compare the two, you can feel the difference, because this one is so much more energetic and so much more powerful in every way. And I think also the songs, I'm very happy with the songs this time. I think they are diverse, they are well written, and I do the demos. Joachim and I write the songs together, so I do a demo of the song with the instruments and the drum machine. Then whatever vocal melodies I have or chorus, whatever it is, I send it over to him, and then he finishes it. And so I'm very happy with my work. I usually am, because if I'm not happy with it, I don't send it off to somebody else, right? But what I got back from Joachim this time is better than I think I've ever heard him do songwriting wise. I think it's one of those, like, he gave every part on every song the perfect mix of the lyrics with the melodies that he created. So it's that's part of the reason, because when I send off my songs, I know I think it's a good song, but I just don't know how good it will be until his stuff comes on top of it, because we write the songs together, right? So once I got back these songs from him, the ideas, and we had a bit of a back and forth with both the music and the vocal melodies and lyrics and stuff. Once we were all satisfied, I think we both felt that this is a strong album from start to finish.
Well, I hope this comes across as a compliment, like it's meant to be, mate. But I've never lasted more than 4 songs into a power metal album without turning it off before. And I chucked your album on while I was doing the research for this, and I went the whole way through, and I let it run through again about another halfway through again. So I thought it was brilliant. Fucking awesome album.
Yeah,
man.
Cool. Thank you very much. Although I know that everybody outside of Europe refers to this type of music as power metal, but we have always been a heavy metal band from day one. I know that in Australia, in UK, and especially in the US, they all lump a bunch of bands together as power metal. Yeah. But for me, when we started out, this genre did not really exist. We came from the 80s, from the heavy metal movement of the 80s. That's when we grew up, So we always shied away from anything that wasn't heavy metal, and that also has its roots in the fact that when we started with Hammerfall, it was middle of the 90s. This type of music was ridiculed. It was not cool in any way. It was laughed at, basically. Well, not basically, literally laughed. We have been laughed at on stage several times. So we wore this heavy metal as a badge of honor, because nobody else cared about heavy metal in those days. So for me, this goes a little bit deeper than just a genre classification. For me, it's a matter of honor and pride as well, because this is what we've always been prided ourselves on. When everybody else said, "What the hell are you doing?" This type of music died in the 80s or the early 90s. And we said, well, we don't care. This is our type of music. It's never going to die as long as we play it, And that's why this thing is with the power metal and the epithet it's a little bit more important than just classification of the band to me.
My favorite song in the whole album was "The End Justifies," which you released today as a single. Like,
cool.
That's an absolute fucking banger.
Cool, thank you. I'm happy you like that one. That's this is a very good example of what I said about the production with David's drumming, because he's playing insanely on this one.
So you've released the Unjustifies, and you've also released, where am I?
Hail to the King.
Hail to the King. So are they a good representation of what you expect from the album, or are they just sort of scratching the surface?
I think they're a good representation, but you won't find another song that sounds like them on the album. This, which I think is what makes the album strong, because there are no two songs that are alike on this one. And so I think if because we have a few other songs planned for release before the album, and I think they all are in their own way a good representative of the album, but none of them sound like the other one, if you know what I mean.
Very good. All right, mate. What else have I got for you? Last year you completed a massive tour with the legendary Halloween, bro, that spanned over 2 years. Like, how did you feel after that? You would have been craving your own beds by the time you finished, wouldn't you?
Well, we were home quite a lot too. We did tour all over the world, or most of the world. We were both in Latin America, North America, and Europe, and there was a whole bunch of shows during that time. But it also was not in a row. I mean, the thing with with this tour with Halloween was we had a tour planned for the spring of 2022, or early spring of 22. And that was right before all the restrictions were lifted and stuff. And they didn't want to risk it, because it was very early. In Germany, a lot of people didn't want to go to shows in the beginning. I think it was the same in a lot of places. For the first year after the pandemic, they had sold, because a lot of this tour was also a tour that was supposed to happen before the pandemic, and then was postponed and postponed and postponed. And then once it actually happened, or was supposed to happen the last time, they didn't want to risk it. And people told me during that year that about 25-30% of the tickets they had already sold didn't show up for the shows because they were afraid of to go to the concerts. So it was a big thing over there. So that's why, those reasons are why the Halloween management decided to postpone this tour again, even though they just opened up the restrictions. So, but that also meant that there were no venues available for the dates they wanted at the So what happened was, instead of us doing 4 or 5 weeks together in a row all over Europe, they split those dates up in like 1 show here, 2 shows there, 4 shows that weekend. And that kept on for a year and a half. And then, of course, we went to North America and Latin America in between those shows as well. So there was that year, or those 2 years were difficult, because it was almost every weekend, it felt like, and we were never home. And I have a son. He's 9 years old now. He goes to school, of course, every day. If I'm not home on the weekends, I will never see him, it feels like, So that was a difficult time, just to get through that, because we had our shows of our own as well for every other weekend that we weren't playing.
Oh, man, right. Okay.
It felt so. There was it felt like we were always gone, even though I was home a lot in between. It felt like we were always on tour. So it's good to be back to normal now. I mean, the normal 4 or 5 weeks in a row thing that we do.
Beautiful. All right, Oscar. Well, thanks very much for your time tonight, mate. Hammerfall will be back in Australia. Not back in Australia. We'll be here for the first time ever on tour from January the 14th in 2025. The album Avenge The Fallen is out August 9th, and it's an absolute fucking cracker. So best of luck with everything, mate. You're playing in Brisbane 2 days before my birthday next year, so I'll come back and we'll have a beer and celebrate.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it, man.